This is everybody's day. This is everybody's day. God is saying, if it happens in heaven, if it happens in the heavens, I am the one. But if it happens in the earth, it is a man. It is a man. Since that day, God began to look for men. You see, because the scarcity of the acts of God is a direct product of the scarcity of men. He wants to come into campuses, but he's looking for men, because a land sharing enterprise has taken place. If I don't find a man, then I will be hidden. I see God desperate this afternoon, and I want to ask him that in another 2 minutes he will find this man. Listen, oh, listen. I know you have been called a man of God. You have to be a man of God today. Is that he invests something inside you that can reproduce his mind in the earth. Israel didn't know God. It was Moses they knew. Help me. If somebody is still praying beside you, calm them down. Calm them down. I want you to see what God is doing. Israel did not know God. Now, I know you study the Bible. Did Israel for once cry out to God? Their cry stopped at Moses. When Jesus came, the disciples didn't need to look up. There was one who had embodied God on their behalf. What I'm saying is, if your family wants to see his acts, there must be a man who plays host to him. That's all the family needs. If there's lack, he's the one they go to. Tell your God. Tell your God. Let me share a testimony. I only use my glasses because much studies is trying to affect my eye. So if I'm going to read, I have to stay off it. A few years ago, my older sister used to work in an hospital in Lagos, and it was hard work, but the pay was small. So she called me one day that, you said you are a man of God. Ask God. And God said she will get a multinational job. So I prophesied. Apply to Total, apply to Mobile. And then she got an interview at Total. And they did not employ her. There were 4 of them. They employed 3. They didn't employ her. After 2 months, she got to know. 4 months, she got to know that the others had been employed. She didn't talk to God. She called her brother. I thought you said you are a man of God. They've employed the others. They didn't employ me. I said, write to Total that because you passed the exam, they should employ you. My dad said, that's crazy. So I said, if your obedience stops here, then the acts of God will stop here. I heard you say that you are a Total staff. So write to them. So she wrote on Friday, nobody replied. On Saturday, I told her, send a text message. On Monday morning, the HR called and said, who told you that we employed the rest? No, employed. I'm about to. So I said, so the person said, we can't employ you because it's anti our employment rules, and we are going to penalize the other 3. So my dad called me and said, see the trouble. I kept quiet. I was still a secondary school teacher when this thing was happening, so it was not like I was man of God. I was a further mass teacher. What I'm introducing to you is will not make you start ministry. It's that your life will be ministry. You become a well that a family can draw from. That when God has excess reality, He stores it with you. So on Tuesday morning, I was teaching further mass. And then somebody came from our staff room and said, your mom has been calling incessantly. So after my class, I picked the phone. And the only thing mommy was saying repeatedly was, Tolu, Oshe, 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 in tears. What is this Oshe thing about? So your sister will call you now. She said they called her and apologized for not employing her. And said, well, we don't know why we skipped your name. But because you passed the exam, you will start with your 4-month salary. So technically she worked for 4 months sitting at home. No, it's not federal government, it's Total. If Total pays you 4 months salary, you will buy a car and buy some small things. Are you with me? That's how she started work. When she was going to travel, people went for visas, they were denied. I told her, don't go now, go then. And then when she got it to take 4 weeks, I saw her heart was failing. I went to God. God said, tell her today. I was on my way to Ado-Ekiti to minister in the university. I was in Osogbo trying to board the car. I said, because you are afraid, today, and tell your friends who were rejected to return their passports. You will not go as one man, you will go as a company. What I'm sharing is not man of God reality. If he finds you a Moses, then there will be a way through the Red Sea for your family. That's why he's looking for a man. The things you have come to check are not cerebral things. If there's no master of the ways of God in the family, then the family is hopeless. If you enter a city and all that pastors can do is to administer something on Sunday morning without playing host to the ways of God, his act will be scarce. Unfortunately, what darkness merchandises is not knowledge, it's activity. One small girl enters a house of billionaires and they begin to beg after 1 year. And then we bring somebody from church who is 80 years old. He can celebrate being saved at a 10, but he cannot reverse wickedness. No. God wants to send him out. Okay. So before I got to Ado, she called me. She said, my passport is out. I said, what was the response? Said they gave me. She felt I was going to be excited. So she said, you were not excited. No. Chelsea and Real Madrid played 2-0. Does he need excitement? It's news that happened. Because Moses knows before Israel knows. So I can say glory to God, but I didn't expect another outcome. That's what he wants to do for your family. That's what he wants to do for your campus. One of our girls ran to me some time ago, last testimony. I have a ministry now for girls who have been used. If you are in Ilorin, you may not know. In Ogbomoso, people need money by diabolic means, so they use ladies. Are you with me? I was warning on Tuesday that church girls need to be afraid because they have used everybody on the street. The only place where you see a large number of unused girls is church. So if we don't begin to teach, you're a pastor. Do you do anything around ministry? You are not a pastor at all. God has not said anything to you. Okay. You will find out in 2 years that you'll be stronger than what I'm doing now. Me, I've kept my eyes on you since I came in. The way you are going, okay, it works like us. I've seen people talk to you. Maybe you are PA or something. Okay. But you see, if Elisha stays close to Elijah as a PA, he's supposed to be able to enter into what Elijah has. So my instruction is, don't be close to the documents. Find his heart. What God has placed there is supposed to host an anointing. Don't worry, you won't fall down. It's a 2-year journey. If you follow well and you recognize that there's a relationship with him that is greater than PA, because PAs don't inherit their masters. There's only one relationship that occasions inheritance. I've said so many things. May God give you understanding. We need to start teaching our sisters to be contented, because it's a battle of contentment that will fight. One of those days we were in a meeting and the lady ran into the meeting, grabbed my feet when we finished. What's the problem? She said she has been used. She told me herself. The last time they ran an ultrasound scan, her intestines have started decaying, because that's the protocol. The young man treats her like a god for 3 years, then intestines start to decay. Ultimately, she becomes very sick and she dies. And then you look for somebody else. So why did you come? That they said that if it scatters, if we come, God will help you. I've not started itinerant ministry at that time. I was just in my house. But you see, people saw that it looks as if God landed there. And it's not an ecclesiastical title. Man of God is not equal to pastor. Every one of us is supposed to be man of God in your house. That like toothpaste, if we press you, it's God that comes out. That's a man of God. You know why Miriam rebuked Moses? Because Moses was man of God, but to Miriam, he was younger brother. We don't need the titles.